It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in studio today. We're going to be talking about the jail district sales tax proposal. Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher in studio today, as well as County Administrator Phil Baudron. Hello, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back, Phil. Good to see you, Sheriff.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, before we get into the jail district tax, we've got to ask you, because we had an escape on July 12th in the Camp Verde jail, so I thought since you're in studio today, we'd get a nice, fresh, live update from you on how things are going with the search for Mr. Wade Cole Dickinson, 28 years of age.
I'm glad to talk about it today and get it out to the public. There is a $5,000 reward from Yavapai Silent Witness. Wade is a local resident here. He grew up in the Verde Valley, Camp Verde area. He was in the rec yard on that day that he escaped. The detention officer had walked out of the rec yard, and Wade took advantage of that, and a camera was broken that went into the monitor center, and then he climbed up and out the rec yard, up a wall, over a basketball hoop, went across a roof down into the main yard where he climbed a fence and went out into the open area and crossed the river into Camp Verde. We have got some good leads that we're following up on. We don't have any record of him being a violent person, but he's mostly a con artist kind of guy, and fraud, theft, sales of performance enhancement drugs. But we are actively looking for him right now, and as I said, there's a $5,000 reward for information leading to his apprehension.
I imagine him being sentenced to 24 years in prison was his instigation to get the heck out of here.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, just looking at this, I should be getting a full report within the next week or so of where the breakdown was, what happened, and I think it was an issue of classification. Usually when someone is sentenced like that, right afterwards, their classification goes from a more medium to maximum kind of classification, where they're locked down, more direct supervision. So that's something that we're going to be taking a look at and seeing if that's a training issue or what on our part.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Well, we'll keep track of it. We've run the story a lot, I know, since July 12th, the day it happened, and then the day after, and so on and so forth. So we'll pull it out and keep running it. And anybody that's got information should call. I guess they can call the sheriff's office, but Yavapai Silent Witness too. That's the $5,000 reward. You stay anonymous, so the number is 1-800-932-3232 for Yavapai Silent Witness. Let's get to the jail district's tax, because that's what you were coming in and Phil was coming in to talk about today. Who wants to start and kind of explain what we're going to be asking voters for this November?
Well, I can go ahead and start.
Okay.
Really, what's going on, and the whole issue that we were facing with the jail district is currently our jail capacity is full. We have the jail here in Camp Verde, which is at capacity.
How many is that?
600 beds.
Okay.
With classification. We're right at capacity. There are days we're over, there's days we're under, but for the most part, we're averaging over classified capacity.
Always too bad that's happening, but
yeah, it
full.
is.
It's full.
It is. It's full.
Okay.
So the Prescott jail was shut down in 2009. It was a 130 or 120 bed facility.
Why was it closed?
It was closed for economic issues, because at that time we had the big downturn of the economy. The sheriff's office needed to cut 17% of its budget, and that equated to almost 20 patrol officers that would have to come off the street, or we needed to do something in the detention side. So the Prescott jail was closed. We focused all of our inmates in the Camp Verde and began to utilize more transportation to and from Prescott rather than keeping that jail open.
Now, why don't we just reopen the Prescott jail?
Well, 65 to 67% of the inmates that we have in Yavapai County have court and were arrested on the Prescott side. So if we were to take that number today, it would be 250, 260 inmates. We would need to move to Prescott, but only having 120 beds, it just doesn't suit the needs.
Gotcha.
So we really can't expand Prescott. there's just nowhere to go. It's on the second floor of an office building.
I've heard it's outdated as well.
Oh, it is. It was built in the 70s. It's of an architectural design that we don't use anymore. There's some very strict federal jail guidelines that it doesn't meet. We'd have to invest a lot of money into that, and it really just wouldn't suit our needs. So we're looking at a facility that would suit not only our needs now, but in the future. We have a place in Prescott where the infrastructure is already there. It would be next to the Juvenile Detention Center on Prescott Lakes Parkway.
Okay.
All the land and everything is there. It's right next to the dump, the sewer plant, the Juvenile Detention Center. So for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been looking at what's the best way to move ahead with this plan. And one of the big issues that we faced is how are we managing the current jail population? Are there people in jail who don't need to be in jail? Minor charges. One of the misconceptions we've heard a lot is if you were to let out the people who had marijuana charges, as an example, you'd have all these beds open. Well, we've worked very closely with the courts over the last 2 or 3 years to keep people out of jail who don't need to be there.
Like who?
Like possession of marijuana.
Okay.
Like some minor charge of disorderly conduct.
Misdemeanor DUI?
Well, a misdemeanor DUI is a 24-hour.
Okay.
But the other charges, possession of marijuana, disorderly conducts, simple assaults that may have a $200 or $300 bond.
Okay.
Those are the cases we focus on and are averaging about a 3 to 5 day length of stay for those inmates to get through the system quickly through the lower courts, the judicial courts. The other way we're looking at managing population, and I've got to give the Superior Courts a lot of credit for this. Our presiding judge, David Mackey, has been working with the early disposition court on more of the serious felony charges.
Okay.
And getting that process through the judicial system quicker has really helped us in managing that population. At one point, we were well over 650 inmates on an average. Now we're well below 600. So with 550, 580 inmates, you can see how much that's dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of those combination of efforts have really helped us to keep the high-risk offenders and not the low minor offenses in jail.
So how do we build a new jail?
Well,
Go ahead,
I think
Phil.
just to go over some of the history of the financial picture of the jail district. The jail district was formed in 1999 specifically to fund jail construction, maintenance, and operation of the jail system. That same year, the county voters did approve a quarter-cent sales tax, specifically, again, to fund jails. And that can't be used for anything else but the operation and construction of the jails. What really is the picture today is the current funding from that quarter cent, which does end in June 30th, 2020, will not support the operation of both a Prescott jail and a Camp Verde jail.
Okay.
So the future needs, simply put, have to be accommodated through either increasing the sales tax or through other methods. And currently this county has been very conservative with the property taxes that they assess property owners, and the board would rather look at a half-cent sales tax, which is the maximum by law that can be placed in a jail district. And that sales tax, the board has been reviewing it with the sheriff and the situation of the jail and the need for operational increasing capacity and the operation of an additional jail. And so they have placed that on the November 4th ballot, the general election, to ask the voters to increase the current sales tax to 1/2 cent.
Okay, let's take our first break. We're at that time already. County Administrator Phil Bourdon in studio today, along with Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're talking about the proposed jail district sales tax that voters will be deciding on November 4th?
November 4th.
November 4th of this year. So we have a quarter-cent sales tax right now that's been implemented, voters approved in 1999.
Correct.
Up until now, and then we want to add an extra quarter-cent to that and make it a half-cent. So tell me a little bit more about this half-cent. If voters say yes, it'll start when and continue till when?
If the voters approve this on November 4th, it will begin July 1st, 2015, and be for a period of 20 years till 2035.
Now, how much money do we need?
We need an additional $7 million to $7.5 million. Currently, a quarter cent generates $7.5 million annually. That's our estimate, and that's what we anticipate receiving next year. To fully fund the construction and the continued operation and maintenance of a Prescott jail, we have estimated to need the additional quarter cent. And of course, the voters are approving the board's ability to provide that sales tax up to the half cent, and as time goes along, the board can monitor it and see if that's necessary. That's the maximum by law they can have the sales tax at, but they can also do less should the funding come in greater than necessary.
Okay, so that's good to know. So if we don't need all of that after this new jail is built in Prescott, the 300-bed jail, then we can always pull back from that.
Yes, and they did that when it initially was voted in '99 for the quarter cent. They didn't use that full quarter. They used a portion of it until they needed it. Then they raised it in increments. So that's again being looked at for this.
Do we get any money from the outside? We were used to be housing illegal immigrants.
Right.
Do we still do that?
Yeah. At full capacity as we are, we're not able to do it like we did once before. But we still house Native American inmates. We still house some illegal immigrants that finished our local judicial system, and then we prepare them for deportation with ICE. I think this year we will generate some monies, but not like we did in the past.
We were doing pretty good in the past.
Well, I think totally since 2009, we probably generated around $8 million total of extra revenue, which helped us pay off the Camp Verde jail. So that Camp Verde jail is completely paid for now. There's no more debt service there with that.
Okay. All right. One thing I noticed when I was going, for information on this too, if you're not getting everything you want from us today, which you probably won't, there's so much to talk about, we won't have time for it. But if you go to Yavapai County's website, they have a really nice Yavapai County Jail District banner there that you can click on. And it's got a ton of information on it. And I pulled up some of it this morning to take a look at it. And one of the things I noticed down here that I had not thought about is that this is a sales tax and not a property tax. And we mentioned the property tax already in the show, and I know the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors, every time we have Chip Davis in here, Tom Thurman was in here recently, they all talk about the fact they love that they don't have to raise property tax or take it backwards and we don't have to pay as much property tax. This is paid through a sales tax. Can you give me kind of the difference there and the sales tax bill?
Sure. The County Board of Supervisors, the reason they and many other counties look to funding jail systems and the jail district through sales tax is a considerable portion is paid by people visiting your county, coming through as visitors, people vacationing here. We estimate over approximately a third of the sales tax is funded by people visiting Yavapai County.
That's a big chunk when you're talking about $7.5 million.
That's a very big chunk.
Yes.
And so also, as you mentioned, the board is very proud on the fact that they keep county property taxes as low as possible. Currently, they have, when they just approved their tentative budget this last board meeting, they left at least $7 million underneath the maximum amount that they could levy in the property taxes. And that's because the state of Arizona does limit the amount counties can assess in property taxes. And again, this county has been very conservative and kept property taxes low. And in discussing this issue with the Board of Supervisors, they are looking to ask the voters to keep it to a sales tax to, again, keep property taxes as low as possible.
Why not just have cities and towns pick up the bill? And instead of increasing the sales tax, let's have Cottonwood pays more, Camp Verde pays more.
You can't have a jail district and charge cities and towns.
Okay.
And so the jail district, when that was set up, removed the authority for cities and towns to have to fund any jail operations because they're funding it through that sales tax.
So if this, let's say voters say no in November to the half-cent increase, so the quarter-cent continues till 2020 regardless, correct? Once that's gone and we don't have that jail district sales tax anymore, would the burden then fall on the cities and towns? Would the sheriff's office in the county be charging each city and town a large chunk of money in order to house inmates that come from our communities?
To house their inmates, but as well as that would not cover the additional need for the jail district. So obviously the board would have to look at additional funding sources and reduce services in other areas.
Now, if this is not approved and in 2020 this goes away, we need a jail. We have to have a jail, right? Irregardless whether we vote yes or no, a jail will be built in Prescott. So what are the other options that we're looking at then? The property tax, we talked about that.
That's counties really are limited in the revenue streams they have available to them, and primary property taxes are the only other source that they really have besides cutting services. And that is why the board, again, looking at the needs of the jail system and the availability of the sales tax for that system, is asking the voters for that to be the revenue stream.
Okay, that's coming up on November 4th. So registered voters, if you're not a registered voter, you need to register and then participate in this for sure. Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher in studio today, County Administrator Phil Bordon too. I'm Paul David. County, I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point there, Smokey.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Get out to the forest.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah! Woo-hoo! Hey, guys, wait up!
And discover the wonders of nature with your family.
These trees are the key to our way of life.
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning!
Clean water.
Woohoo! This is great!
An endless forest adventure.
Let's rock this jungle!
Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to Countywide. We have a few minutes left in the program. We're talking about the Yavapai County Jail District tax that everyone's going to be voting on. It's a half-cent sales tax to be coming up in November on the 4th. YavapaiJail.org. Phil,
Yes.
you were saying it's a great site to go to for information, right?
Exactly. If residents would like to have more information, of course, this is very limited amount of time here, and at their leisure, they can go to YavapaiJail.org, find out more information, as well as ask any questions of us online, get answers back, and jail tours. People are very interested in looking at the sheriff's jail system. You can sign up online or call the sheriff to have a tour of either the Camp Verde or the existing Prescott holding facility.
In person.
Yeah, we've been getting a good response on the public calling in, some groups, some just individuals that we try to schedule, you know, as a group, and they may want to come see the older Prescott jail, or they may want to come take a tour of the Camp Verde detention facility, and we've been doing a few of those. So people are interested in coming to see how the operation is and how it works.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen the inside of the Prescott jail. I've seen the one in Camp Verde.
Come take a tour.
Yeah, I should come take a tour.
Yeah.
A couple other things real quick. You opened a new substation in Mayer.
Right.
You moved to a new location in Mayer.
Right, we did, in an old historic building. 1916 building there in Mayer gives us much more room, much more open to the public, easily accessible.
Is it more visible to everybody going by too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the old historic school building, been there from
the old brick red schoolhouse.
Yeah,
I think
that's
is what
right.
The press release said,
and it's working out very well for the deputies and the public there in the Mayer area. So nice to see that open up, and I want to thank the school district for working with us on that and helping make that happen.
Okay, and then we also have acquired a DUI van through the Governor's Office of Highway Safety.
We did. We recently got that through the Governor's Office, very much needed. We work a lot with the local agencies across Yavapai County, and this makes it easier for them to do their job on the DUI details in the field, having an office, a process center. We can use non-certified officers to drive the van, to be there, to be support, keeping the officers out on the street, keeping them from having to drive to the jail or to the hospital to process certain evidence. It's all done right there in the field.
We do one of those lovely saturation, or not saturation, but a checkpoint. You just park it right there, and
sure,
there's that DUI gal drives up. You can just load them in the van.
That's it.
Yeah. It's too bad we have to have stuff like that.
I know. You know,
we voluntary
compliance goes a long way, and I think we do see that more with getting it out, that agencies all across the county are out doing this. It's very unfortunate, some of the fatalities we've had due to impaired drivers and the head-ons that we saw that rash of just some months ago. Many of those head-on drivers were impaired. And it was just
so avoidable.
And you know, they're getting in the wrong way traffic, and unfortunately very or fatal traffic accidents occurred because of that.
All right. Sheriff Mascher, good to see you again. Phil,
good to see you.
Always great to see you. That's today's Countywide. We will talk to you again next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.